Thank you for neurofeedback, Chris.
What I'm going to make now is the Game Changer trademark Loving Libido moment.
Favorite bowl. It's a very big rice bowl. So welcome everybody. My name is Belinda Pita and I have a vision. And my vision is that each and every single one of you has the opportunity to take in knowledge, to create some new synapses tonight, and that you all have a place to come to where you can be in a non-judgmental environment among people with similar and very different values, religions, cultures, backgrounds. But in this space, we can all learn and expand together. And that really is the purpose behind Transcendental Tuesdays here at Kata. A very good friend of mine, Sat Marway, and myself had ran a wellness group for 3 years on a weekly basis doing these presentations called Life Squared. I've kind of shifted it now, and what I'd like to offer people is on a monthly basis to take in some information that perhaps is a little bit outside of your paradigm at times, but to also have a safe place to express what you want to express, learn something, have an experience. And the difference from what I was doing before is that we will end every evening with a meditation. So tonight is such a juicy night because we're going to learn about the brain. And we all have brains, I think. And isn't it amazing? Like, just think right now for a second. How much do you know about the human brain? Did you know that 2 different parts of the brain are developed in the early years? Whether you play the piano or a stringed instrument, those both dramatically, up to 25%, enhance your learning ability. If that's taken early, a piano develops one part, a stringed instrument, a different part. Imagine as a child yourself or as a parent of children, how much that enhances their learning ability. That's just one little way that we can help the next generation. But there's also neuroplasticity, and you're all gaining neuroplasticity every day. Now, I am not the neuroplastician. I am a transformational life coach, an intuitive, psychic, and right now I'm learning hypnotherapy. My teacher is here tonight. She's absolutely awesome. So that will be the next thing that I add to my toolbox. But I think it's important to continually learn and expand. And this is what, when we're learning, when we're taking something new into memory, we're exercising neuroplasticity. So we're going to learn about that tonight from Chris. So enough about me. You're not here to see me, you're here to see Chris, right? When I get everything pumping, 20% of your blood supply is utilized by your brain. Your brain is 60% fat. Your brain grows into your 20s. What were some of the other facts? The energy from your brain is enough to light a light bulb. There was something about orgasms, but I won't mention that. Maybe Chris will later. So your very special guest speaker tonight is Chris Wyllie. He's a neuroplastician. He has a double honors from Western University. He has a honors in neuroscience and economics. But what's really interesting about Chris is his East meets West approach in the way that he deals with his business, his clients. And Chris is helping change the lives of people through changing their brain. That's why he's called the game changer. He does this through neurofeedback. He does this through brain mapping. He does this through coaching. And he also, some people in this room might have been around when I was doing Life Squared and remember Paul Ing, Master Sifu Paul Ing. And Chris is actually a disciple of Paul Ing and 21st generation of the Shaolin Temple. So he's a little bit of Karate Kid meets Dougie Hauser. And he looks really young, but he's actually like, what is it, 62? No, I'm just kidding. He looks really young, but but don't let that deceive you. He has so much amazing information to offer us tonight. So this is the format for the night before I let Chris speak. Chris is going to give his talk. He's going to have some experiential exercises. And then I'm going to take you through a guided meditation. After that point, even though I know we're starting a little bit late, after that point there will be questions and answers. So after the meditation, if you can't stay around, we'll have a very, very, very quick pause. If you need to leave, leave. If you want to stay, stay after that point. Does that sound good? All right. Chris, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for coming out.
Well, I really want to thank Belinda for that really nice introduction. You're probably wondering why the heck I'm a little late. And I got to be honest, the old self, the old Chris Wyllie, wouldn't be here right now. I ate uncooked egg that wasn't fully cooked, the white, and had some coffee before and just been completely knocked out for 4 hours. I honestly thought I wasn't going to be able to come here tonight. It's never been that bad, but I committed. Basically, the old voice that was in my head was not going to come tonight. And then I remembered who I really am, and I spent 3 hours of doing Qigong and meditation to get myself here. So if you guys watch the series Limitless or think about like superhuman abilities, I mean, if you want to have the power to handle whatever life throws at you, humanly possible, I'm going to show you here today how to develop energy, how to develop power, how to create anything you want in your life. And I'm grateful that I met Belinda and all these amazing opportunities and things have come into my life. And it's almost like I've become a black hole and an attractive magnet for all types of amazing opportunities, amazing people. And basically what I'm going to help you do is become a magnet attractive force yourself to bring the health, wealth, opportunity, everything into your life. So I want to give you a brain-opening experience and show you exactly how to master your mind, how to master your health, how to master time, and how to master your entire life. Okay? Now everything I do in my work and everything I'm about is about unifying the best practices, principles, technologies from Eastern and Western science, the yin and the yang, to give people simple systems and solutions to completely transform every aspect of their health across the board. Your brain, your mind, your intelligence, your consciousness, your physical body, but also the energetic body. So I work with people who are kind of on a mission, you know, who want to be their highest self, who want to be all they were meant to be. People who want to put their kids in the best position to succeed and help them be all they were meant to be. And in essence, what I do is I take the experiences and knowledge I've gained through transforming myself. My entire life I've dealt with anxiety and panic attacks, and I'm telling you, right until I got speaking here right now, there was going to be an anxiety or panic attack. It felt. And during my third year university, I wanted to go to Harvard Law School, MBA, had a 4.9 GPA in my program, and everything was kind of lined up for me. All I had to do was do reasonably well on this LSAT exam, and boom, they were coming to recruit me. So I started studying for the LSAT, go in, first exam, complete adrenaline panic attack. Felt completely powerless, sweating out on my seat. It's happened twice. Basically, long story short, I went down many dark roads, substance use and abuse, continual anxiety and panic attacks, and it eventually hospitalized me. I was 30 pounds underweight, third year university. And basically at that time when I was completely broken down, in that darkest moment, I just made a decision. I wasn't going to fool around anymore. I wanted to find the most powerful, effective, natural ways to take control of my health. And I basically started over, right from scratch, erasing the chalkboard that was in my head. And just like a kid, I was going to throw myself in new disciplines, learn new information. I mean, I didn't care if I looked silly or embarrassing, or to all these other people, it's like, Chris, what the hell are you doing that for? I just wanted to find the ways to truly transform myself and do it permanently, fundamentally. And this has basically led me now where I'm sharing everything that I've learned, all the insights I've gained, to help others transform their health, their life. And people ask me, why do you do what you do? What's the purpose of your life? What's the purpose of life? And really two things define me. Number one, learning. Number two, love. So I love learning, and I'm always learning to love and give more. Now, what's the opposite of learning? Anyone know? Thoughts? Opposite of learning, fear. Right? Instead of learning, growing, expanding, when people are scared, when they live in fear, they put up walls around themselves. And they don't open themselves to growing, and it's all out of fear and insecurity. Now, what's the opposite of love? Hate. Greed. Okay? So people marry, get in relationships for money. People, out of greed, for lust, for sex, will sacrifice the connection, the integrity of their relationship. In terms of health, people neglect to love themselves and get greedy and indulge in all these extravagances without ever thinking about it. And when it relates to the body, I work with a lot of spiritual energy people who are very high up, very detached from the body's needs and desires. Now, I believe that this human experience that we have, we're actually designed to use our body during our life to do as much good as possible in the world. So I always say it's one thing to be an enlightened monk in the mountain. It's another thing to be an enlightened being who every day can inject more love, power, and light in the hearts of people. Right? So the biggest key why learning comes first, because love, it's our natural eternal state. We can get there anytime. But what we learn shapes the love that we experience, the love that we express. Right? There's people in other places around the world where they're told that love is war, fighting, aggression. And no one would deny that these people are made of and created in love. It's just that the love they express is completely tainted by what they learn. So the number one thing I would recommend anyone, I recommend to changing your life, is education. Educating yourself is the best way to inoculate, protect, and purify yourself from the misinformation, the manipulations, and all the nonsense you're going to get exposed to. And that's what tonight is. It's an educational experience. Because what does educate fundamentally mean? Educate means to draw out your inner intelligence, to activate your inner abilities. And education really is the key to protecting yourself And so that's kind of where forearming yourself through educating yourself is so important. Now, these problems that we face, things like time famine or epidemics of autism, ADD, Alzheimer's, the fear, the strife, the corruption. We don't beat these problems by playing around at their level. We beat them by rising to a level of energy and consciousness in which these problems don't exist and become solved immediately. It's just like going from 2D to 3D. So let's say in the 2D world we're seeing, all we see is a circle. The circle's moving up and the circle's moving down. When really, there may be a sphere, a third dimension. And now when that circle's moving up and down, there's a completely different dimension of energy, information that we were missing. Now open your mind to the possibility, moving from 3D to 4D. To think about, what you may be missing. And your brain is the super quantum computer. And the more information, the more experiences you keep adding to it, the better, and the more energy you supply to the brain, the better able it is to construct new quantum platforms, dimensions of seeing, being, perspectives that allow you to rise above the problems that you face. So, in the interest of time, I'm just going to get right into the juicy details, some fascinating concepts which you all will want to hear about. One, time mastery, life mastery, how do you master your mind? So who here would want to learn how to make time expand, to make time dilate, so you can get more done in less time? All right? So the first most important principle of achieving anything you want in your life. Number one, have a dream. What specifically do you want to create? What's the image that you want? What's the reality you want to create? And then B, you just need the energy to get you there. You don't need to worry about the how. The how always takes care of itself. The energy is what creates the magnetism, and the magnetism is what brings the power. The people, the opportunities, the things like events like this where I'll meet new people and now welcome them to a new world. The energy is what creates the magnetism. And it all starts by having the dream and then committing each day. You're going to be doing things that enhance your energy. Right? So if you all will, just gently close your eyes for a second. Let your eyes just gently relax the bottom of your eyes. Take a big, deep breath in through your lower belly. And then breathe out and make a ha sound. Now breathe in, breathe out. Now as you breathe in and then breathe out, I want you to feel your body becoming heavy and warm. You're just sinking down nice and deeply into your chair. As you breathe in, feel your neck, your forehead just relaxing, feeling very warm, very heavy. Feel your shoulders, your elbows, everything sinking right down. Now breathe in again. And as you breathe out, feel your body sinking into a black void, a black hole. Everything just sinking right down. And then gently see your body just floating down onto a chair in a movie theater. And up on the screen, you see yourself actively living out your dream. You see it in full, real detail. What do you look like? What are you wearing? What are you doing? Perhaps it was a dream you had when you were a kid. Perhaps it's you lying on a beach running your company, your business, with a few clicks of a button. Perhaps it's you having a conversation with your autistic son or daughter. They're 15, you're sitting at the kitchen table. and your daughter or your son is talking to you and telling you about their success at school, right? All the things they're accomplishing. It just makes you feel warm inside. And see yourself sending energy to that dream. See that dream in real life. Feel the warmth and tingling sensations that are going through your body as you're watching this movie in super high definition. Now, with your eyes closed, if you're still searching for that movie theater, don't worry about it. Dreams are a moving target. But you want to keep going day after day until you find that one thing that has your brain saying, yes, that juicy dream, yes, I want that. Yes, I want to be that. Yes, I want to do that. Okay? Then gently just open your eyes. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but when you imagine something, physically the exact same activation happens in the brain as it does when you're physically doing something. But when I was my previous self dealing with the anxiety, the panic attacks, I did visualization. I tried everything. And guess what? I would be sitting there in a chair trying to visualize, going to Harvard Law and all that success. And guess what my deep mind was saying? What my brain was saying behind the scenes? I'm not buying it, bro. And what I lacked was the higher purpose, the emotions, the purpose. Why the heck would the universe back me? What was the significance, not only for myself, but for others? So the biggest key is that memories are made of emotions, which get really hardwired into your mind, into your spirit, into your energetic being. They're much easier to access, which is why when you have traumatic experiences, it requires a much more powerful approach to rewire every aspect of yourself. Rewire your brain, rewire your mind, rewire your energy flowing through the body. And that's why energy practices really work, is because you're increasing the energy flow through the body. Now you're liberating all things stored throughout the body and in those channels. Okay? So, I mean, the dream's a moving target, and it usually keeps getting better and better the more energy you keep sending to it. So, now the energy. Really, to master your mind, master your life, it's all about energy. I mean, Einstein said all life is energy and energy is life. And the reason why energy is so important is because all the processes in the universe are replicated in us. Everything that happens on the earth, in the universe, is replicated and used in us. And just like the earth has this wonderful atmosphere that protects us from solar radiations, high levels of too high levels of UV so that we can absorb the good frequencies to heal us. Developing your energy develops a magnetic field that protects you in the same way as the atmosphere. And physically, when we increase the energy flowing through your cells, at a 90-degree angle, a magnetic field is generated. Okay? And the stronger the energy, the stronger the magnetic field. What this magnetic field will do is it'll protect you from negative influences, low energy thoughts, people, events from happening. So for instance, in Australia, there's this big donut hole in the atmosphere. And that's actually why you see increased rates of cancer and autoimmunity in Australia. It's letting the higher UV radiations, which with some other problems are creating the storm for cancer and autoimmunity. Okay? And on the topic of that, what are the modern day diseases that are just exploding? What are the three main categories?
Cancer, heart disease, diabetes.
Heart disease, well, the three main categories. First is brain problems, mental illnesses. Okay? Then heart disease, as always. And the third huge one is autoimmunity. Now, principle, like I just said, that all the processing in the universe are replicated in us. Now, there's a reason why those three are skyrocketing, and cancer's in the same boat, same problem. It's an energy problem. Is because the brain, the heart, the immune system house the most mitochondria. And anyone heard of mitochondria? Basically the cell's energy producing power plants. And whenever there's an energy deficiency, for whatever reason, the first functions, the organs to be depleted are those that use up the most energy, those that are most energy expensive. So if you ever remember from back in the kid days when you looked at a science textbook and you saw an atom, it had the nucleus with positively charged protons and neutrons, and then outer orbits of electrons. Well, the nucleus holds on to the electrons in the closer orbits more tightly. And the further you go out, all the way to the outer valence electrons, the more loosely they are held. Okay? So the higher cognitive functions, the heart, the immune system, the most energy expensive organs are the most fragile and susceptible to getting destroyed whenever there's an energy depleting event. Now we mentioned mastering time. Who here wants to have more time? Right? And if you don't have your hand up, you know, you're lying or you're crazy. Either case, we'll fix both. So time. Now your experience of time these days is a little bit different, you know, than when you were a kid, right? When you were in like grade school, everything seemed so expansive. I mean, 3 p.m. in the afternoon to the rest of the night seemed like forever. It's like, where the hell did all the time go? Right? So a brilliant guy named Albert Einstein said that time is relative. So my experience of time is not the same as your experience of time. The experience of time of someone who has ADHD is not the same as someone who has an optimally functioning brain. Now, for most people, people who don't want to optimize themselves and don't want to live the best life they possibly can, the funnel of their life starts out very wide, right? Time seems very expansive. But through time, with age, that funnel starts getting slower or smaller, smaller and smaller until there's no more funnel left. It's gone and life ends. Now, I've always been super curious on how you can expand this experience of time. And this is where I've got, through the neuroscience, to really understand how the brain creates time and then how to optimize it. Now, the difference between when you're young and where you're at now is when you're young, you're this little ball of energy. Your metabolic rate's through the roof, and your mass is small. So you experience time more expansively. As you get older, your mass gets bigger, your relative energy levels decline, and you experience time more quickly. It passes you by. And the more energy you're losing, the more your organs will age, the faster you will pass away. Okay? So the analogy is flies. Flies experience time, each set fraction of a second, much more expansively than humans, like 4 or 5 times more expansive. And the reason is because their metabolic rate's through the roof, and they got a tiny bit of mass. Now, on the topic of mass, if you were to go to North America, US or even here in Canada, people are getting pretty big, right? Now, when a star, because remember, everything's replicated in the universe happens with us. When a star begins to lose energy and die, does it get larger or smaller? Larger. Now, if your heart were to fail, would it get larger or smaller? Larger. What happens when the brain sustains a blow to the head? It expands. What happens? You get the nasty headaches and all the energy flows are off in the brain. So basically, whenever nature loses energy, mass increases. Okay? And where you're losing energy the most determines the type of disease you get. Okay? So things like obesity are an energy deficiency, not excess. And the example in real life is an elephant. An elephant is huge, but it eats very poor nutrient grass in Africa, compared to a rat, which is this tiny little thing, can eat whatever the heck it wants and just burns through it all. Okay? So the larger, basically, nature gets larger to become more efficient whenever it's losing energy for any reason at all. So the key point is, the more sensory stimuli your nervous system and brain can process, the more time will expand. Okay, the more energy your brain has, the more things it can process at once, the more things will go in super high definition, slow motion. And the case in point is near-death experiences. All of a sudden, adrenaline hits your nervous system, the pharmacy in your head is opened, and time seems to slow down, seems to stop. So you actually can train your brain to be able to process more information so that you can expand your experience of time. So that you can be so productive that no matter what the day, no matter what the time, you can get it accomplished. Because you can make time expand, because time's relative. Now there's a second critical piece to longevity and time, is that a fly doesn't live very long. An elephant or a sea turtle lives a very long time. So I want maximal time in each day I have, and I also want to live a long time. And this is where my knowledge, what I've learned from the ancient Eastern science, is that there is an equation. It's very simple. It's A times B equals C. C is a constant. And A represents the number of times your heart beats, and B represents the number of years in your life. So what lives longer, a dog or a cat? You ever notice the difference in how they breathe? How does a dog breathe? Right? What about a cat? Very still, very silent. Right? So the key to optimizing your longevity is to maximize the efficiency of your heart. Okay, and this is where we get into the concepts of the yin and the yang. Extreme high intensity exercise, extreme high intensity brain training to increase your nervous system's threshold and what it can do, same time followed by complete emptiness, complete consolidation phases. Right? So where you're training your brain and body to be able to process more information, and then you're combining it immediately with extreme relaxation. And just think of a super athlete's heart rate at rest. It's very low, right? It's very efficient. So those two are really the key to optimizing time. Training your brain to process more information, and there's many ways we can do that, through neurofeedback, through neurofield, through Brainpower nutrition, which I hope we'll have time to get into. I want to get into the juicy details of how the brain really works and how consciousness is created, because frankly, when I was in school, my teachers didn't have a clue. There were all these localizationist theories, right? This part of the brain does this part of the brain does that. It's much more complex than that. It's very interesting. And in terms of nutrition, it turns out there's certain molecules that were present during our evolution which created consciousness, which led to the evolution of human consciousness. One of which is called DHA, the magical fatty acid in seafood and foods from the sea. And really what DHA is, I mean, you go on PubMed, you'll type in fish oil across the board, all improves health. What DHA really is, it's a quantum molecule. DHA has these pi electron clouds, which actually increase electron tunneling. DHA equals electrons. Anytime there's more electrons, there's more energy, there's better cognition, better health. Okay? So the principle of nutrition is to supply as much light and energy to your cells as possible, because whenever you raise energy, chaos, disorder in the system goes down. Okay? So chaos is a synonym for inflammation. Anytime there's inflammation, there's more chaos. Cell signaling is poor. There's swelling. Basically, inflammation is a buildup of a positive charge. The more health you have, the more electrons you have, the more negative charge. It's just positive and negative. That's simply what it is. Okay? So if you get a concussion, you get it smacked in the head. Immediately there's an energy depleting blow. Now signaling, chaos, disorders, all depleted. And this alters sleep, this alters focus, this causes migraines, etc. So the name of the game is, whether it's concussion, whether it's Alzheimer's, whether it's ADD or autism, is increasing the energy in the system so that the chaos can be dissipated and reduced. Okay? So, for instance, for the Brainpower nutrition, you want to optimally supply as much energy to your coconut as possible, because My mentor is one of the top neurosurgeons in the US, and he knows the smartest researchers in the world. And it turns out that DHA, for instance, is one of the major limiting factors to the elevation in consciousness. Like look at a lion. Do you see any big, smart ass lions running around that can manipulate and control the environment like humans? And what is a lion eating? A paleo diet. All the grass-fed meat in the freaking world, right? That's all they're eating. The gazelles eat the grass and the lion eats the gazelle. So that's really the paleo approach if you want to eat like a lion. But a lion doesn't have the same nervous system, consciousness, that we do. Now, is anyone a vegan in the house? Now, this is the key. Everything's appropriate in its right context, every approach to nutrition. Now, which animal is eating a vegan diet? Perfect vegan diet, an ape. They're eating all the green vegetation in the world. Cows too. Now, how complex is an ape's nervous system compared to humans? Does the ape have the intelligence to manipulate the environment like a human does? Not to the same extent. So we all have different levels of consciousness. I'm going to get into this, how the brain really works. But humans essentially have a bigger super antenna, which means they can access more, which means they can create more solutions, good or bad. They can change things more, for better or for worse. And it turns out DHA is a critical molecule that is directly integrated into our cells. It's not used as fuel. And what DHA basically does is it allows you to capture energy from the sun and convert it to a current in your cells. That current is what electrifies your body. DHA showed up in the ocean 600 million years ago when oxygen showed up, and basically the first earliest forms of life, they couldn't use light because they didn't have DHA. Then marine life developed DHA, and all of a sudden they could use light to create a current, which then increased consciousness, the development of consciousness. Basically, one of the problems in human evolution is that there's not a lot of bone evidence on the transition from apes to humans. And here's why. Humans evolved along the East African Rift. There was a cooling of the environment. It was around 5 to 7 million years ago. And basically, pre-humans were like the chimps that came along to the coast and had access all of a sudden to seafood like oysters, small fish. And guess what? Picking an oyster is way easier than having to go hunt down some animal. And it turned out that DHA then provided the fuel to integrate into our brain and nervous system to fuel the development of consciousness. Now, why the heck are there no bones? Well, guess what water does to bones? It dissolves them. So that's kind of the missing piece. And you know, the story's still unfolding. But you look at all animals. The bigger they are on the land, the less DHA they have in their brain, the dumber they get. Across the board. So DHA is pretty important. Now, if you're a vegan, now this is important for DHA, is DHA has to be in this special SN2 position. So there's glycerol backbone and there's 3 spots on the fatty acid. DHA has to be in the middle for it to be magnetically drawn into our brain. So it's a physical molecule. We're not talking chemistry here, we're talking physics. But it's all very simple. Now, algae oils, things like spirulina, things like krill oil, may or not be in the correct position. So whether they're actually getting integrated into your brain, you don't know. And that's kind of where each individual's experience will be unique and different. For some people, the krill oil will be getting in their brain. For other people, it won't. And ideally, I mean, you get it right in the proper SN2 position in seafood like an oyster. Which fish are basically the exact same thing as our gut. Now our gut will convert things like vitamin K1 to vitamin K2. It'll produce B12. Well, fish are naturally designed to convert algae DHA to the proper SN2 position that we can use. And this is probably one of the most important principles you got to know. Is everything in life is coupled, connected. It's an entire ecosystem. Okay, so don't feel bad, if eating fish or eating meat, if you are promoting ultimately the health of the ecosystem, right? Because let's think about it. We consider humans a predator, right? Now let's consider the relationship between predator and prey. Now, if a predator were to stop eating the prey, what would happen to both species? The prey would proliferate, the predators wouldn't control them, and both would go extinct. And it's also why not all the lions get all the gazelles, right? Some get away, so that those can spur more. So there's always this beautiful harmony, synergy, okay? So when you look at things in a bigger, broader perspective, you see that context is the key for everything. You guys live by the equator. If it's the middle of summer right now, I'm cool with you eating like a vegan. Because that's naturally what designed those types of food, the greens, the fruits, that's naturally what's designed to grow in the environment. Now, when it's wintertime and it's cold out, we need to eat like a great white shark, like the ancestral Inuit. A lot of seafood, fish, very little to no carbohydrate. We want to be more ketogenic. And basically, the whole key, like we're talking about with the nutrition, is supplying energy to the brain, to the body. And it turns out that 1 mole of a carbohydrate supplies 36 ATP in the cell. ATP is the energy currency. You guys know what I'm talking about? ATP basically equals energy. Okay? Now, 1 mole of a fatty acid, like stearic acid and coconut oil, supplies 147 ATP. It's more than 4.5 times. Now, most people who are lost in the calorie story, we're an open system. We're constantly interacting, losing and gaining energy. Those in the calorie world look at 9 and 4. They say, it's 2 point whatever, 2 more than fats. But you look at the fundamental level in the cell, how much more energy? It's 4.5 times. So one of the strategies for healing the brain and improving health is eating a more ketogenic diet with seasonal carbohydrates. Right? So if it's summer, eat all the wild berries in the world because they grow naturally here, right? And yes, you can eat your blueberries, brainberries, but even during the winter, the blueberries may not be optimal because you're getting exposed to the cold. You need to be ketogenic. You need to be fat burning. You need as much DHA in your brain as possible. Because basically, our cell batteries are made up of 2 things. One is DHA, the other one's water. Now, sunlight is like the jumper cables. All right, so DHA and water form the foundation of the battery, and sunlight's like the jumper cables. So if you're living way up north in the Arctic and you don't get any sunlight, UV power from the sun to electrify your cells, you need to eat more DHA and water. You need to optimize that side of the battery. Now, if you live in the southern US or by the equator, do you need as much DHA? No. Why? Because you're getting the energy from the sun. And anyone who's into the raw food, veganism, that's basically why raw food is good. Because you have more intact photonic power from the sun, which then your body can use. But guess what? A lot of vegans have brain problems, anxiety, stress, because they don't have the DHA to supply their brain and nervous system with the energy to balance. So whenever there's more energy in a system, it's more organized. Okay? And energy is what underlies virtually all neurological conditions. ADHD, autism, Alzheimer's. And there's some main factors, main reasons why all these diseases are exploding. I'm going to assume the role of your most insidious, relentless enemy. Okay? It's going to be a little riddle. So I infect your brain destroy your memory. I destroy your sleep. I make you crave carbohydrates. I mess with your kids when I'm very highly addictive to your kids. 1 second, my friend. I make your beautiful brain go bad. But the thing is, you love me because you can see my good side, but you can't see my bad. What am I? No. Oh my goodness, dude, you're on the wrong side. The chocolate's the best. Who here has something in their pocket? Can you pull it out, please? Ooh, now we're seeing. Now we're talking. Guess what modern technology does? Electromagnetic radiation. Now guess when autism started exploding? During the technology boom of the 90s. And guess what else happened at the same time? They started using more aluminum, transition metals, and vaccines. So remember, are we talking about everything in the universe happens in us? Well, let's look at what happens in a star. Star, when it's young, burning brightly, it burns through hydrogen and helium. But as the star begins to die and lose energy, it starts accumulating iron, nickel, before it's completely energy depleted and it explodes in a supernova. Now, what's one thing we see in all neurological conditions? We see aluminum in Alzheimer's, iron in Parkinson's. We see, you do a heavy metal analysis on kids with ADD or autism, it's through the roof. Now, why is that? Is it because heavy metals or transition metals are the killer or the bad? Or is it because the brain is energy deprived due to all the electrification of the modern world, which just so happens to be around high frequencies which constantly steal energy from our body? You see, our brain, our body's designed to work when connected with the ground, with the earth, connected with the sun. Now, who here has ever been to an energy session or done yoga or done meditation and say, oh, I feel grounded? People talk about being grounded rather abstractly. Well, let's talk about what happens in the brain when you're grounded. You actually entrain to and synchronize with the Schumann resonance, 7.83 hertz, which corresponds to alpha waves in the brain. Alpha waves are associated with being more in a flow of life, being relaxed but focused. People who live connected lives, people who begin to rise as the sun rises and go to sleep when the sun goes down, and minimize the technology, the blue light, the TV screens, computer, have increased alpha brainwaves. When you increase alpha brainwaves, you increase brain voltage, you increase dopamine, and all of a sudden, your mood and memory is performing like a rock star. Okay, so the nitty-gritty, real simply, what non-native EMF, man-made EMF does, is it causes this phenomenon called calcium efflux. So calcium is basically the cement that forms the cell membrane. Now, when you put a cell phone by your head, it causes that calcium to spew out of cells. And it spews out to the neighboring neuron. And guess what happens when calcium rises in a cell? It causes excitotoxicity, raises glutamate, excitation. Okay? So when you expose your brain to any form of EMF, it causes a stress response, chronically activates your brain, your nervous system, and it leads to this vicious cascade of excitotoxicity, it's called. And what happens is enough calcium is getting knocked out of the cell, now cells can't signal properly. They can't communicate well, and all of them are hyperactive, turned on. So imagine just swelling or nailing your ankle, having it swell up. The exact same thing happens to the brain. When brain cells fire, they swell, they get bigger. When anything gets bigger, signaling declines, gets worse. So if you type in any disease and you'll see excess calcium flooding out. If it's diabetes, peripheral neuropathy, it's because calcium's spewing out of the cells and messing with signaling. Now, whenever calcium rises in a cell, it causes apoptosis, brain cell death. And you look at people in the modern world, people on Bay Street, they're all stress monkeys. They're chronically activated 24/7. They don't turn their brain off. They can't turn their brain off. And they have no clue why. They have no clue why they're stressed. They have no clue why they have anxiety, why they have, may get some major Alzheimer's when they're like 50 or 60. They think it just happens. They think things like cancer just happen. That's not true. Cancer is the loss of negative feedback. We're talking about the predator and the prey? Well, guess what cancer is? It's the loss of the predator to keep everything in check. Its excitotoxicity run rampant. And guess what it does? It depletes your stem cells. So where it's getting depleted the most is where the cancer will show up. And it typically shows up around the breasts and will try to metastasize to the highest energy sources, like the brain, the heart, the immune system. So the biggest key with autism in all neurological conditions is you have to optimize the environment. You cannot get well in the same environment you got sick in. And for a lot of kids where it's very severe, we actually have to remove them from the modern world because the amount of EMF and electrification is too high. It's chronically turning their brains on. In autistic brains, when we do brain maps, we actually see extreme amounts of hyperactivity in certain regions of the brain. That corresponds to the stress response we're seeing. Now, the beautiful thing for the autistic moms is that there is an alteration in development. There is higher levels of frequencies that kids are coming into, they're coming to the world with. So the biggest key is not to medicate an autistic kid or take away perhaps that upside benefit to now a kid who can resonate at a higher level. The key is to balance it, to provide the optimal environment, the optimal stimuli, so that the brain can have as much energy as possible, so it can dissipate the disorder and maximize signaling. So it can take these beautiful gifts, which may perhaps be dormant, in their brain, in their nervous system, and it can express them in the naturalist, purest way possible. So optimizing the environment is very key. Now, if you're choosing to live in a modern world with high populated city, you got to know, there's stressors 24/7. So you have to do much, much more to heal these kids. You got to optimize the Brainpower nutrition. You got to get things like special magnetico sleep mattresses which send in a magnetic field which simulate the earth. You got to train their brain to calm the chaos because that brain's being turned on if you're in that environment. You basically just have to do much, much more. And if you're going to live your modern life, you have to do more. You have to commit to do more. And now people are beginning to know how to do so. There's really no excuses. Basically, why things like autism and ADD occur is because during pregnancy, the mother's immune system, neuroimmune system, is turned into overdrive. Okay? When the immune system turns into overdrive, it starts producing antibodies. Those antibodies begin to bind to the proteins in the developing fetus's brain, inducing a stress response in the brain. Now, whenever the brain's stressed, this alters brain growth and inhibits it. It causes the brain cell death. So there is altered development in these kids coming in. There's excess disorder from the immune system being chronically turned on. Not to mention moms are going in remarkably DHA and iodine deficient. DHA is like the king of nutrition. It does everything. It's amazing. Now, iodine's like the queen. They're the perfect match made in heaven. Now, who here has heard about things like fluoride, halogens? These are bad for us, right? The difference between iodine and halogen. The difference between iodine and other halogens is other halogens hold on to their electrons more tightly. They don't donate them. They're not as friendly. Iodine is a much larger nucleus, more electrons, and it shares those electrons very happily to DHA. And it actually protects DHA in the most critical places, in the synapses in the brain, in cell membranes, everywhere. So it is the ideal antioxidant, the number one antioxidant in the brain. It actually replaced vitamin C as the primary peripheral antioxidant in the human body. So iodine. Now, can you get away with supplementing with potassium iodine and Lugol's iodine? Maybe, maybe not. Depends how you feel. This is where sea vegetables come in the mix. Things like nori, dulse, kelp. Ideally, try to get it as from a low a polluted region as possible. one place where you ideally want to get your seafood is from the Gulf of Mexico. Now, 67 billion years ago, there's a massive asteroid that hit that knocked out the dinosaurs. And guess what that asteroid did? It made a huge hole in the Gulf of Mexico, which opened up the Earth's magnetic field. Whenever you're closer to the Earth's magnetic field, it generates more life, more healing. So you look at the Gulf of Mexico, these oil spills and stuff, bad stuff that happened there. It's more pollution-free and robust than ever. You go to any place on the equator, in the ocean's blue, light blue. What that means, there's low oxygen, low iron, not a lot of life. But you go to the Gulf of Mexico, life is growing like crazy because there's a big hole underneath the Gulf of Mexico that no one sees. So that's kind of where, if I'm eating seafood, it's going to be really high quality, and that's going to be one of the spots. I always want to go wild as much as possible. And then, when you're eating seafood, you can put natural chelating, metal-reducing agents in it, like cilantro, basil, oregano, and eat tons of them. And then that's kind of where things like the chlorella and superfoods come in, because they're going to help detox any metals in there as well. Now the thing is, metals aren't inherently bad, something like iron, but they concentrate in autistic kids. And basically the reason why is because, part of the reason why is whenever you're exposed to the EMF, it basically opens everything up, spews out the metals, and then the metals accumulate wherever you're losing the energy the most. Just like a star. So, in Alzheimer's, it's aluminum in the hippocampus, in the frontal lobes. In Parkinson's, it's iron in the motor networks. See, everything's connected. Now, I want to, not sure we're at time, but I want to get into the juicy details on how the brain really works, how consciousness really happens. What makes a human consciousness different than an animal's consciousness? How can we create our genius? All of us are geniuses. We all just don't know how to discover and activate our genius. Now, going through university, I learned many of these localizationist theories, that this part of the brain does this part of the brain does that, controlling specific cognitive and behavioral functions. I learned that the left brain is linear, analytical, logical. I learned that the right brain is action-oriented, creative, nonlinear. I learned that the frontal lobes control focus, motivation, mood, executive function. I learned that the temporal lobes control my temperament, whether I was happy or sad. I learned that the temporal lobes are also the wings of creativity and memory. I learned that the parietal lobes control sensory and motor function, and that the occipital lobes were responsible for vision and vigilance. But still, how all the magic came about was still a mystery. You know, how does consciousness really happen? Right? It's not localized in one spot. And it turns out consciousness is holographically merged, which means every memory, thought that you experience, every time you visualize and create an image, it's all determined by the amount of light and energy flowing through your cells. And each cell in your body contains the image of the whole. That's why it's called holographic. So basically, your brain is this wonderful super antenna which picks up all the frequencies of the universe and then transmits all those frequencies into energy flows through the body. And the energy flows is what creates the physical images, the memories. So that's where things like, who's here read Think and Grow Rich? You know, anyone who's in self-development, oh, Think and Grow Rich. No, classic. We talk about the infinite intelligence. And what the heck is that? All this information resonating in the universe might have seemed kind of like woo, kind of BS, you know, in the past. Well, basically, what all the infinite intelligence is different amounts of frequency and energy resonating throughout the whole universe. And us humans, we have consciousness that allows us to access a wider range and frequencies and energy throughout the whole environment, throughout the whole universe, presenting us with different amounts and degrees of thoughts and experiences, presenting us with different abilities to create new platforms of being and seeing and knowing, and continue to create this new quantum consciousness. It all happens by leaps and bounds depending on where your energy is at, where you're tuning into. So what kind of station are you in? Most people in a station they sure as heck don't want to be at, don't want to hear. Little do they know, you just turn the dial a few clicks, boom, different station. Perhaps it's a little happier, a little quieter, more peaceful. It all starts by optimizing the brain that is the antenna. Now, the brain has another interesting role. First is the antenna, the second is the librarian. In its role as a librarian, the brain's job is to store bits of information, experiences, and put them in the right shelves in the right cabinets. It's also the brain's job to grab the right books, the right bits of information, depending on what your situation is at the current moment in time. Now, as we said, everything's energy. Everything is the balance between energy and chaos. That's why physics, you'll read about things like the uncertainty principle. What the heck does that mean? It means all of life, the essence of life, the magic of life, is creating order from disorder. And that's what the story, the meaning that we create through the energy where we can organize things from disorder happens. Okay? So when there is a lot of inflammation in the system, inflammation means chaos, means poor signaling. Essentially, the librarian in your head goes out to lunch. It's like the librarian in your head's out to lunch. Kids come along in the library, first graders. They go to grab a book to read, and there's 8th grade books right in that section. And kids see it. They're like, what the heck is this? Forget this, man. I'm just popping on the computer. Boom. Or you have 8th graders coming in to speak to the librarian, asking the librarian, can you get a science textbook for me, please? Sure, the librarian says. So they go grab a book. It's a JK picture book. And guess what your mind's saying? Well, the librarian is just completely messing up this whole damn thing. Your mind's saying, well, that ain't what I'm looking for. My memory just sucks. And you can't grab the right bits of information because there's so much disorder. The kids in JK, the kids in grade 8, they can't get what they're looking for. And your memory suffers as a result. Your thinking, thoughts suffer as a result. You lose the clarity and coherence, the way you think, the way you remember in your entire life. It all starts by optimizing the brain's role as a librarian in the superantenna by supplying more energy. More energy equals more efficient functioning, equals better signaling, equals better neurotransmitters and hormone levels, like dopamine, which equals better behavior, better mood, better life. And that's kind of where you get to choose how you use your energy that you create to your benefit. And how the brain really works, how consciousness arises, like we said, is that the brain's the superantenna. It's picking up all the different signals. Then it transmits those signals into what? Hormones, neurotransmitters, and guess what? Your energy flows faster than both neurotransmitters and hormones. So we can do things faster than our nervous system actually fire, all through developing chi, life energy. Now, the poor, the brain works as the antenna. The poor, it sends signals throughout the whole body. The more your hormones are messed up, the more the EEG of your brain's trashed, the more everything becomes disconnected. So the poor, you can pick up on information and frequencies in the environment. The less you can use the sun to help you. And all of a sudden, oh, whoa, the sun is bad. It's your foe, not your friend, like it should be. In relationships, because you're not transmitting the right signals and picking up the right cues, you have some mighty problems. Communication. Perhaps you lose your marriage, it ends. Because you are not reading the right signals, you're not transmitting them properly. And it all arises from the brain's role as the antenna. Okay? And your brain, through every moment of your life, is acquiring new information, new experiences, new bits of knowledge. And the more energy you supply to the brain, the better able it is to construct new platforms of seeing the world, of being in the world, to help solve your problems. So most problems all stem from a low energy state. My master, my Sifu, is 70 years old. He looks like he's like 35. He beat bone cancer at age 40 through discovering Qigong. And through that experience, through these observations, you'll find many of these stories, many of these heroes, so to speak. It becomes clear that when you rise to a new dimension of energy, when you develop Qi, all the low energy crap can't exist. Things like cancer, Alzheimer's, they're all low energy phenomena. When you leap to a new higher level, all these problems no longer exist in that new dimension of being. So, really, everything is about energy. Energy is what electrifies and magnifies life, and really, your genes, all of us are genes, you know. Genes are death sentence, right? Your genes are like the first draft of your life. They either put the odds in your favor or they set them against you. But how the novel of your life plays out is completely determined by your decisions, which ultimately shape your destiny. Now, what determines how your genes, DNA and RNA, are expressed? What electrifies your DNA and influences the expression? Energy. So you can expose yourself to a completely different environment. You can be the same person. One person can live in a modern EMF hellhole in the city. Another person can live up in nature. And the way those genes are expressed is completely altered. So let's say you have the ApoE4 Alzheimer's gene. What even is that? Basically, it's a certain gene that inhibits your brain's ability to use energy to fuel cognition. Basically inhibits the development or the transport of cholesterol to brain cells so that they can use, so cholesterol can form the sheaths on nerve cells. So if any of you have seen like wires, they have plastic cable to protect the wire from short circuiting, for sparks firing. And actually this is why children can't walk and talk, is because their myelin hasn't developed yet. They're unmyelinated. They're just exposed little wires. And guess what else? Women, the same way. They don't have as much myelin as men. And guess what types of, autoimmunity affect men, or do they affect women more? Affect women, because they have less myelin. Now guess what happens when you're living a disconnected life? Disconnected from the sun, disconnected from the earth, disconnected from the food you're designed to eat for your environment. You induce more stress and destroy nerves because you don't have as much protection. Women are designed to have less myelin in their cells so that they're more sensitive to the environment. So that you can pick up, be more sensitive, have less room for error to know whether it's safe to have a kid or not. Okay? So there are certain ways to accelerate the development of myelin. And a principle of Tai Chi, and a principle way of life, is that to move backwards, we have to move forwards. So I want you all to go back, let's all go back together to the beginning of life. Is anyone in the room a mom or dad? Now, when your child was born, they were this beautiful little ball of fat, right? Looked like the Pillsbury Doughboy. I mean, I've seen my pictures. It's pretty big. Then, 2 years down the road, the little infant started turning into a child. It started walking, talking, right? What happened to that child? Did they get thinner or fatter? Thinner. Now, where did all that fat go?
To the brain.
Dude, you got it. You knew the answer. Exactly. To the brain. And basically, all that subcutaneous fat goes to form ketone bodies, which accelerate the formation of myelin, brain cells. So if we want to consciously enhance our brain's development, we want to utilize these same principles that a baby uses to build its brain. And a baby consumes breast milk, which is predominantly protein and fats with minimal amounts of carbohydrates. And basically, the baby consumes breast milk ideally and then converts all that subcutaneous fat into fuel for that super rocket ship in the brain. Okay? So it's always these simple observations which reveal the key to optimizing your health no matter where your health is at. So I always use nature as my research assistant, as my playmate, to see how things are done in the universe, to learn how they apply to us. In this principle, it's called the 3 C's. I mean, to master your life, all you need are 3 things. A, curiosity. Constantly be hungry to learn new information, see new ways of being, of doing, becoming. Second, creativity. Just like people, innovators like Einstein, use your imagination to see and contemplate solutions. Take all the observations that you have in your life to date, what life was like when you know, what a kid looked like, all these different observations, and begin to try to piece the dots together. Begin to, begin to connect things that you may have never connected before. And the biggest key point is don't stop there. So if that happened, then what? What does that mean? And each day, spend time following the logical conclusions of where your creativity and curiosity may lead you. I mean, don't accept anything for face value. I don't believe anything, and I will scientifically investigate everything. So there's all these great stories on why things happen. Genes are set in stone, or this is the purpose of your spiritual being, your contract. I believe that's the yin component, but the yang component is understanding through physics and science. Okay, how physically does it happen? Because there's always 2 components, right? There's the energy component, the energy-chaos relationship, but there's the underlying story and higher intelligence. So you always want to try to see the world from those 2 different perspectives. But always check your stories, your thoughts, your ideas with the science. And if you don't, it's where the power of association. You got to associate people that do. And then together, collaborate with them. Take their information and see how it applies to the stories and things that you are telling yourself, the meaning that you make out of your life. Right? To find the real meaning in your life. And then C, courage. Never let your creativity and your curiosity be conquered by fear. See, everyone feels fear. We all feel fear. So that not all of us live in fear. We live with the fear. But we all don't live in fear. And really the difference between the master who executes all their brightest ideas and the dreamer who lets all their best ideas go unfulfilled is the energy. Like we said, the dreamer has the dream, but they don't have the energy to protect that dream from the inevitable forces which want to bring it down. Right? Whereas the master each day commits to working harder and harder, developing more and more energy. That does what? It flows in to animate their dream. It enables them to persist, to work harder when others would call it quits. See, things like willpower, they aren't just given, you have more willpower than Jesse or Johnny. Willpower is a function of the energy you supply. We all have the experiences of one day we wake up feeling like a rock star. The world looks different. Or business people I work with, they close one major client contract, all of a sudden 4 walk in the next day. Why? Because all of a sudden their energy skyrocketed, they got in state, and they took all the action, all the ideas in their head, and they just did it. I know there's times when I don't feel good and I have a bad week, there'll be a long list of things I need to do. And guess what? One morning when I feel like a rock star, get them all done. So the biggest key is the energy alters everything. The thoughts you think, the perspectives you have, the actions you take, and it all becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Everything's always in motion. That's why the universe is so powerful, right? Motion, nothing stops moving. There's only one thing in life I can guarantee you, is change. And I can guarantee you that's going to change. No, I'm kidding. That's the only thing that's going to stay the same, change. That's really the only thing we can be certain of, is that everything is going to change. So, like the universe, you can keep adding more energy so that you're constantly growing, expanding, becoming more, doing more, being more. Or you can set yourself on the path of decline, contraction, by letting your energy dissipate, by not educating yourself on the things that you can do to keep your universe expanding. So, I'd like to welcome all of you to a world I currently live in, a universe of constant growth, expansion, that no matter what life throws at you, you are going to be in the best position to take control, to be your best, to constantly expanding, growing, and doing things which you may have never thought you could do. So if you want to enter a world of becoming everything you can be, do, and become, I'm happy to work with you and speak with you more, follow up with you, support you after this, and help to shine light on really the most powerful ways to optimize our health, optimize our life, our mind, because everything's connected. I mean, you transform your brain. I mean, you're not just optimizing your brain. Now you're becoming a mastermind in business. Now your sales go through the roof. Now you're creating and innovating in a way you never would have thought possible. Writing, communication used to be my number one fear and my number one liability. It wasn't very good. Now, all of a sudden, I'm a completely different person, and in 3 months, I just wrote the first draft for my book called The Brainpower Breakthrough: How to Build a Better Brain, Better Body, Better Life. And really combining all the most powerful principles from cultures and science around the world into simple systems and solutions that you can do to build a new and better you.
Yes. So let's take some questions, and then to respect the time of the people who really need to leave, you can leave, but I am going to do a brief meditation afterwards. So let's take questions. And if you could actually, all of our brains are buzzing now, and lots of new synapses for me. And I'm going to do my sort of key points that I took out of this for everybody after. But if you could just explain who you work with and how, like what is it that you actually do, and take questions, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. So at like a one-on-one level, I run my own private practice, and I work with people who have concussions, ADD, autism, different forms of serious neurological conditions. So I either work with people who are extremely motivated, who are at the top of the top and want to be better, or people who are battling significant issues, and they have high need, high motivation. Their life depends on it. So I mean, I go head over heels for those types of people, doing things like QEEG brain mapping, so seeing the brain, exactly what's going on, like a map of the world. Where are the imbalances? Then using things like neurofeedback and neurofield to train the brain to optimize it. So I have technologies where you actually can entrain and optimize any specific region, like your prefrontal cortex. We can put some coils which send in frequencies, which then we can teach brain regions how to communicate in those frequencies and form new networks, etc. in the brain. Literally increase BDNF and brain cell growth in those regions. Design complete lifestyle game plans. I've designed complete lifestyle, nutritional optimization game plans, have a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, teach people the Qigong, the Tai Chi, the meditation, basically bring it all together. So really each person's unique, their context is unique. So what we're going to do is going to be uniquely adapted to obviously the person, their life, and to try to optimize it as much as possible. For some people, we just simply get you drinking a Love and Libido mocha in the morning. Love and Libido mocha, you heard that right. That's my one of my trademark beverages, with chocolate, my friend. Some of it, dude. Yeah, if you have like a love-hate relationship with chocolate, or you love it.
Love it.
Okay, dude. Yeah, we'll talk after.
Is the drink kid-friendly?
Yeah, well, you alter it to the kids. For the kids, I usually depends. I don't normally do the coffee with kids. I definitely want all the fats in there and some super power foods like chocolate. Basically, anyone who's into superfoods, what's a superfood a synonym for? More light, more energy. So resveratrol. Who's here heard about resveratrol? Basically, what resveratrol is, it's a protein that stores UV light. You consume a glass of red wine or grape skin, what are you drinking? Liquid sunshine. It's just got more of it. That's what it is. Wheatgrass. Things like wheatgrass. Greens are the highest energy foods. So you eat greens and you're getting UV light in the middle of the spectrum and it optimizes your cells. What about cacao, chocolate? Tons of resveratrol, tons of UV light. And basically anything that grows in a highly stressful place activates longevity factors in it. So goji berry, different maca, way high up at elevation, ginseng roots. So really one of the keys to becoming a wild, free-ranging, super adaptable human is eating a wide range of superfoods from around the world. So you're acquiring those unique adaptive properties of that. But we can go into all that more. I also speak around the world to organizations and businesses on how to optimize their brain, their mind, their health, run mastermind days and mastermind weekends. I just spoke in Atlantis, Bahamas, not too long ago to a group of 250 executives, salespeople, marketing people, and you'll see, like a lot of my testimonials, though, people come in and they'll see this young hotshot kind of guy, and people are like, why the hell am I going to listen to this guy? Who does he think he is? And then get people to stick around just for 10 minutes, and all of a sudden some of the things I'm saying, makes sense, makes intuitive sense. Then people try it, they get the results, and all of a sudden, I only care about results. I don't care, how old this guy is. So age, I mean, there's many different forms of age. Don't put too much stock in age. Yeah?
How would you work with children if their anxiety is too high, like my daughter wouldn't let you touch her type of thing?
Yeah.
So how would you work with someone like that whose anxiety is so high she won't go to a practitioner's office, she won't lie on a bench, she won't let you put things on her head,
Yeah.
or put her in a chamber?
Yeah. Optimize what she's drinking the most of, water, natural spring water. What else we can put in that? If she drinks like almond milk, you can sneak a little bit of magnesium, magnesium threonate, different forms of magnesium to completely relax the brain and body. Magnesium threonate for the brain.
So start with diet.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing. A lot of kids with autism, they won't even, no supplement, DHA, no luck. So one of the things I do is I actually am going to start getting natural wild spring water and actually structuring the water with my pulsed EMF devices to create an anti-inflammatory water. So that would be what the kid would be drinking, and that would be reducing inflammation. So that's kind of where each person context is unique, but there's always a way around it. And if it's really that bad, then I would suggest maybe you got to move to a natural environment away from the stress. Yeah?
When you're working with clients or individuals, is there a process that you use to determine the level of DHA that they currently have so that it helps you optimize or figure out?
Yeah. So DHA is a sign of energy balance. DHA basically means optimal PG, progesterone to estradiol ratio. When DHA levels are high, iodine's high. Progesterone to estradiol is optimized. What else we see? Dopamine's optimized. Brain voltage, alpha brain waves are increased. So we use a hormone panel, and you can use the brain map to determine where the system's at in terms of DHA and energy. But DHA basically means better PG to E2 ratio. Yeah.
So we'll take one more question.
Yeah.
And then Chris will be hanging around for a few if people want to speak with him.
Yeah.
Sorry, if you don't eat fish at all, any seafood?
Me?
No, kids in general.
Yeah.
My kids don't. What is there capsules or something that they can take for DHA?
You could do the liquid DHA. I mean, ideally, you probably do want to get it from a mammalian source. You can try both. This is kind of where the little experimenter in you. For 1 week or 2 weeks, you can try the krill oil. Ideally, you're going to use like a high quality fish oil, like a wild sockeye salmon fish oil or something, although that doesn't taste the best. Things like Nordic Naturals is fine, the high DHA infant formula.
And is too much, can you give them too much DHA or no?
Well, the body's just going to clear it, and the only thing you would just feel it oxidizing, a little bit of burpees. Now, the key for you is you want to put in a few little drops of potassium iodide with the DHA, so you're at least creating somewhat of mimicking what nature uses.
Sorry, beside Karen, I know you had your hand up.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
My son is where you were when you were in university.
Yeah.
What can I say? Is there anything someone could have said to you to make you start sooner?
Basically, her son, similar to where I'm at, was at, sorry. Was there anything that you recommend for her son? The biggest, most important thing is asking your son, okay, what's the higher purpose that you're trying to do this for? Ask them what really are they doing that for? Get them to think about it. What is it your son wants to be or do?
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
He's in pain.
Okay, so you ask him if he had free time, what would be the first things he would do? What things make him the happiest? What make things, enjoy life the most? What does he get excited to do? And you ask him that. And then if he's stressed, has anxiety, then you implement some of the approaches to raise his energy, get him in state. And when you change your state, all of a sudden you can discover the higher story in that, which you can access in that state. See, for me, I lack the emotions, higher purpose. And I had to be completely broken down to discover it. Some people, I got to be honest, they have to be broken down to fully get in the game. So sometimes things that are, you think are bad, they're not bad at all. If I had the worst thing that happens for teenagers, if they go out in the car and they speed and they're drunk, is they succeed. The worst thing that would happen for me, if I had done really well and gone to Harvard Law, would have been succeeded. Because that would have been one of those monkeys on Bay Street or Wall Street, being as stressed as can be, setting myself up, perhaps, to be a victim of cancer, of Alzheimer's or something. So the biggest thing is to be there to stir the curiosity, get them thinking. Then do things, help them to raise the energy. Then perhaps they'll discover the higher purpose. And that's kind of where there's a fine line between guiding your kid in the right direction and letting them experience life so that they are in the game. Right? Last one.
You briefly touched on autoimmune system, and I know with me, if I'm getting older, my autoimmune system is depleting. There's obviously
Your immune system, you mean?
yes. So there's a lot of women in the room. So what can we do to build that?
DHA and iodine. Basically, what turns on your immune system? It's called an electron. Anything that supplies more energy is going to turn on your immune system. So that's kind of where you can get into adaptogenic herbs. You can get into the superfoods like maca. Maca is actually not even an adaptogen. It is, but the main thing is it raises progesterone. That's why you'd want to do that. You want to eat a more ketogenic diet with lots of iodine, because things like menopause are actually a longevity solution that life uses. So menopause represents a period of time where women are myelinating their nervous system to increase their longevity. That's why women, you'll notice, they're kind of, maybe a little bit stressed during their mid-years, and all of a sudden they go 50 or 60 and your grandma, more relaxed. Because you've actually myelinated the brain. And part of that process is your brain is going to try to use iodine and DHA to build the nerve networks. So higher fat diet, lots of seafood, and then you can add in the superfoods to keep everything nice and clean. Cool?
Chris, you're so awesome. Okay. Thank you so much. Stay here for a second. So when I used to run Life Squared with my dear friend, I used to try and sort of encapsulate a couple of key points, because first of all, I have to tell you, I'm very technical, and I consider myself pretty darn intelligent, but my brain is spinning. Yeah. And I'm sure many of your brains are like, what just happened? And the power of the subconscious, which I'm learning through my teacher right now, is taken in a lot. Maybe not at the same level if you were half dozed off, but your brain is taken in a lot. You're going to remember a lot. Chris has taken some very complex ideas and brought them down for us. So your brain is a super quantum computer. Your brain, your heart, and your immune system all have mitochondria. You want to balance and optimize the mitochondria to stay healthy. When nature loses energy, mass expands. Really wanted to ask you, does that mean as I'm getting bigger, it's a good thing?
What happens to
No, it's... Don't answer it, Chris. Don't answer it.
You're not getting bigger, Belinda. You're getting thinner. No, you're looking better.
But I did learn after going into the hyperbaric oxygen chamber at Chris's clinic, what was amazing is all the benefits I received in one session. And I said I noticed that my feet shrank. I got so excited. I went into my closet. I started trying on all these shoes that weren't fitting my feet. I said, holy shit, all my shoes fit me again. And so I was excited, and I sent a message to Chris, and I said, my shoes shrank. My feet shrank. If my feet shrank, Chris, can you help me with my ass? I swear to God, that's what I said, isn't it? And he said, yes, hyperbaric.
I was like, hold on, Belinda, let's first make sure. Your ass doesn't need much work, but it would. It would perhaps make it, more shapely, curvaceous by reducing the inflammation that causes the swelling. So yeah, it could help.
Yeah, yeah. So I highly recommend that. Now, I also am taking away from here that A times B equals C. C is longevity. So the number, a constant. So the number of heartbeats times the number of years of my life, right? The key to longevity is to maximize your breath, maximize your oxygen, right?
Breathing efficiency. So
Efficiency.
like a cat, not like a dog.
And to optimize, we want to train the brain to process more information. DHA, 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 DHA. Notice I was the one vegan in the room, I believe. DHA, DHA, which I'm currently getting through Hawaiian spirulina. I've learned tonight that wine is good. Red wine is good.
So guys, guess what Belinda's prescription would be? A November or early December holiday. To like the tropics.
Did you hear that, honey?
Because she needs sun now, right? She doesn't have the DHA, so she can get more sun. Then she can eat more like a vegan there. Just pop and grab the coconuts and fruits off the tree. She's, you know, maybe you should consider a move there.
Maybe we should do a talk somewhere sunny.
Yeah.
DHA allows you to capture energy from the sun and feed more to your cells. So don't be scared of DHA. If you find a brand of fish oils that are, you know, high quality, I'm sure if you email Chris, he can recommend
Fish
some.
oil doesn't equal food, not even close, because you don't know if it's in the proper position. You may be wasting your money.
Yeah. Well, eating fish. Great fishmonger in Oak Ridges, by the way. What was the other thing? I got some juice. Oh, so DHA is the king, iodine is the queen. So just think, you want to have your king and your queen. You want to have a full house. Hold on. Gina, don't set me off. Cancer equals the loss of negative feedback. So interesting to remember that. You cannot get well in the same environment that you got sick in. Isn't it interesting how we all keep on doing the same things? I mean, you mentioned Einstein a couple of times, whose brain, by the way, was kept in the jar by the doctor who did the autopsy for 20 years, secretly. And do you know that it was cut into 250 little pieces, which have been sent around the world more than a couple of times. And the greatest number of pieces were actually sent to a doctor in Canada who examined them because she has the largest brain collection in the world. We are amazing in Canada. Okay, so the last piece, because I don't want to keep you, I do want to do literally a 5-minute meditation for anybody who cares to stay. Your C's. Now, for most women, we think cut, carrot, clarity. We're going to reframe that tonight, ladies. 2 are 4 C's, and I want to paint a picture for you. All you have to do is think of a square, right? Just think of a square. One side is curiosity. One side is creativity. One side is contemplate, and the last side is courage. Now put all those C's inside the box. If you want to expand and optimize your brain, all you need to do is have those 4 things and think outside the box. Does that make sense? It's hip to be square. So that's how I'm going to leave it for the night. But please, thank you so much for coming. I'm sorry we started a little bit late. I do try to respect your time. I know some people drove for an hour and a half and more to get here tonight, so I do appreciate you taking the time and driving. So every month I'm here, I'm going to have face reading coming up. I'm going to have color theory coming up. I'm going to have Qigong and many, many different things coming up in the future. So if you receive emails from me already, don't worry about it. If you're interested in more of these types of events, put your email down. I'm not a spammer. Ask anybody here who gets my emails. They are very far and few in between. So Chris, did you want to go into the hall if there's anybody who wants to stay for meditation? Sure. How many people want to speak to Chris afterwards? Okay, and of those people, how many want to do the 5-minute meditation? Okay, how many people want to leave right now? Bless you all, that's so awesome. Okay, so I'm going to take you on a quick meditation. So if we could just turn the lights down a bit. So I want you to put your feet flat on the floor. I've got to get my brain out of 120 kilometer an hour mode right now. You know what? I'm going to improvise. I'm not even going to play the music. So if you will, just allow yourself, close your eyes. It's not a long meditation. It's not hard to meditate. If you have trouble following what I'm saying, or you get bored, or your monkey mind takes you somewhere, just follow your breath. Just witness your breath go in and out. So let's just start with the witnessing. Witness your breath go in and out, taking a deep breath in and out. And in and out. One more time, breathing in and out. Good. If there is any chatter left in your mind, just visualize a chalkboard in front of you and draw a line. And know that all of those issues and cares and worries will be there when the meditation is over and you can go back to them. Relax your eyes. Relax your jaw. Let all the stress go. Breathing slowly, deeply. And every breath you take will allow you to go more deeply into relaxation. Imagine in front of you, there's a rainbow. You can see all the beautiful colors of the rainbow. But this is a special rainbow because it's big enough and flat enough that you can walk on it. Look how beautiful that rainbow looks. Just looking at it fills you with joy. See all the vibrant colors. The more you look at the rainbow, the more relaxed you become. Walk up to the rainbow now. Step onto the first color, the color red. Oh, stepping onto the color red, you feel so secure. Secure, safe, relaxed. And just allow that red to fill your entire body from your feet all the way up to your head. Just filling yourself with the frequency of red. And now stepping on to the color orange. It feels so good on the color orange. You feel joy on the color orange. You feel happy, emotionally stable on the color orange. You have this beautiful energy with the color orange. Allow that color to come up from the rainbow and through your body, filling you with the color orange. Now stepping onto yellow. Sunshine yellow. The color of confidence. Allow that beautiful color of yellow to come up from your feet and fill your body with confidence and willpower. Filling the whole body. Now stepping onto the color green. This is the most majestic green you have ever seen. As a matter of fact, it may not even exist when your eyes are open. Allow the color green, the color of the heart, your power, your true power, the center of all things, the love. Allow love to fill from the feet all the way through your body, filling yourself with love, unconditional love. Oh, that feels so good, love. Ah. And now stepping on to the next color, the color blue. This is the color of truth, the color of communication. Allow this color to come from your feet all the way up through your body, filling you with this beautiful frequency of blue. And now the color purple, the top color on the rainbow. This is a very powerful amethyst color that opens you to the divinity within you and the source beyond you. This will even allow you to connect to some of that light energy that Chris talked about. So with this time in filling, I want you to allow this purple rainbow energy to fill you from the head down. Allow that purple energy to come from your head all the way down to your feet, filling every molecule, every pore, filling your whole body, filling you with your intelligence. This is the color in the brain. So allow the right brain and the left brain to be filled with this color. The frontal lobe, the parietal lobe, the hippocampus, the stem cell. Every part of your brain gets filled with this beautiful frequency, optimizing. When you take those supplements that Chris talked about, they will automatically be synergized, optimized, maximized in your body. Every bit of nutrition you take will be assimilated to its maximum ability within your body. Your memory will get sharper. Your logic will get more clear. Your super antenna will be optimized. Your intuition will be enhanced. And you will become more of a sponge than you ever were before. Now allow all this energy to come down through your body, on the rainbow. And one last thing that we'd like to do, this is for stress, because stress is in the brain. Stepping off of the rainbow now, whether you have trouble sleeping or whether you have trouble with stress in any other area of your life, this is the tool that you will be able to use moving forward, which is very easy and very fast to use. Imagine a crystal clear body of water. It could be a pond, a puddle, a lake, an ocean, but it is smooth and still. And you will notice that your stress is represented by rocks. And every time you feel stress, you will pick up that rock, which is stress, and you will throw it into the water. And as you witness the water expand and the circumference of the wave expand, your stress will get less and less and less. And you can throw as few or as many rocks as you need in this water anytime. Taking a deep breath. Feeling so recharged all the frequency. Your antenna has taken in the maximum amount that it can for the most perfect frequency just for you. Bring all your awareness back to the tip of your nose, witnessing your breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And you are back. So the stone meditation is something I came up with that seems to be really, really effective, even if you just wanted to throw stones instead of counting sheep at night. At the beginning of your day or the end of your day, all the colors of the rainbow are different frequencies which correlate with your body. So you can tune into what color you need today and just say, I fill myself with, if you're going to give a public talk, I fill myself with blue. If you're feeling your willpower is off, I fill myself with yellow. If you're feeling insecure, I fill myself with red. And you can really set that intention within yourself and that energy, because to think of it, you're connecting to it. So if I can have the lights back on. Thank you for staying. Thank you for coming. I think Chris is out in the hall if anybody wants to speak, and I honor you all and hopefully see you again. Thank you.
If you want to turn health limitations into limitless health, turn around any brain problems which may be plaguing you, and fundamentally address the root causes of your problems, the time is now. There's one thing I can guarantee you. Time never waits for you. As soon as you stop growing, you start contracting, shrinking, and setting yourself on the path to decline. The universe works in the same way. It first expands, and then eventually contracts, and eventually comes to an end. So I am welcoming you to my world, to a universe of constant growth, expansion, and elevation in what you can be, do, and become. I hope you'll join me.